Welcome to Brave Inflections. My name is Claudel van Eck. I am the founder of Brave Inflections, and thank you very much for watching this video and for visiting the website. So in this video, I want to have a conversation around your strategic circle. What does your strategic circle look like? And as leaders, it is important that we pause every now and then and we reflect around what are we surrounding ourselves with in terms of strategic relationships? Who are the people that are around us that we have on speed dial? So if you were to look at the context on your mobile phone, the email addresses that you've got in your Outlook or whatever you're using for your emails, who are those people who readily come to mind for some of the strategic relationships that you should have as a leader? So it helps to, even if you do it once every 6 months, once a quarter would be great. If you have an entry in your diary that forces you to stop and reflect and to look at where you're at in terms of your strategic relationships, I think that is important for us to do that from time to time. So for this exercise, I am actually going to ask you to be active. I need you to jot down names as I ask you certain questions. And I've literally just chosen a handful of questions. You may, by the time you get to the end of the video, I'm hoping that the questions that I'm asking, that those would have sparked others for you. So you may want to create almost a little bit of a mind map for yourself, a diagram that you expand as you go along, but that includes all the strategic relationships that you should have in your life and those relationships that you should be nurturing that contribute to you becoming continually evolving and becoming a stronger leader. So if you don't have a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil with you already, I would encourage you to use a pen and pencil to actually write with a pen or a pencil, because the way our brains work, and recent studies shown that you actually retain more if you write it with your hand instead of just typing it out or just trying to type it on your phone. As I'd like for you to retain this information, but also, as I said, to keep on expanding that diagram. So I'm going to ask you to put me on pause if you don't already have a pen and a piece of paper with you, and then you can come back and let me carry on talking. So a few questions. As I said, I've chosen a handful, and I hope that you will expand on my list as you go along and reflect on your strategic relationships. So it's very important that we ask this question: who is in your strategic circle? And remember, when I say who, these are the people that you have on speed dial. These are the people who, if you call them, they're actually going to answer the phone. Or you send an email, these are the people who are going to respond because they know who you are. It's not people that you are dreaming about at this point in time, but these are of having in your strategic circle. But these are people who actually do exist in your strategic circle. And once as we go through the exercise, where you see gaps, then you have to have the next level of conversation with yourself. And that is, how do I fill these gaps? And how do I start to build those relationships? But even in terms of those where you don't have gaps, ask the question around, how do I cultivate this relationship? How do I ensure that this relationship remains strong, that I retain this relationship? Or you may even say that in a particular area, you need more than one person to be in that particular category in terms of your strategic circle. Right, so the first question I want to ask you is, who actively supports you? Right, and support is broad. Right? So you literally have to think about all those various areas in your life where you actually do need support. For example, if you get stuck on opening a particular door, who would help you to open the door? And here the operative word is actively, so I'm placing emphasis on actively. I'm not talking about people who support you by encouraging you. I'm talking about people who would actually do something for you, who would take steps to get the door open for you, people who would help you in your journey as a leader, and very proactively when you need them to do that, that they would do it proactively or even reactively when they become aware, when you knock on their door with a request to support you. Who are those people? Who actively supports you? So it's a very important question that we should be able to answer. The next question is, who holds you accountable? Now, accountability, and please go and have a look at the piece on my website on accountability, because what I've tried to do with that piece is to give you a full view, a holistic view of accountability, right? So accountability starts with understanding that you have a responsibility. You've got responsibilities as a leader. You are responsible. And accountability flows from that. So I'm responsible for X and I need to be held accountable against that responsibility. Who are the people who will hold you accountable? And accountability becomes even more important the higher we go up the ladder. And often what happens with leaders is they tend to then, or some leaders, I should say, some people tend to surround themselves with yes people, people who are not going to hold them accountable, or they are not proactively buying into the concept of them having to be held accountable for those areas that they are responsible for. So, who actually holds you accountable? Who will ask you, have you done X and Y? Or are you surrounding you with yourself with people who are too afraid to ask you whether you have done X and Y that you were supposed to do? So these are people who are not going to put a halo effect on you. It's not people who are hero worshiping you without acknowledging that you should be held accountable for those areas that you should be responsible for. Next question is, who calls you out and provide genuine feedback? You should have people in your life, at least one person in your life, who would tell you the truth. That when you're messing up, who would say to you, you are messing up. When you are moving in the wrong direction. And say, for example, you're the kind of person who intimidates other people by using aggression, or you throw temper tantrums all the time to get your way. Who are the people who will call you out on your behavior? Or if you run on assumptions and they're wrong assumptions, who are the people who will tell you that? Who are the people, if you are displaying traits of bias, or you're being prejudiced, or you are being sexist or racist? Who are the people who will call you out and say to you, Claudel, you're wrong? Who are the people who will tell you you are wrong when you are wrong? Who are the people who will give you genuine feedback? People who will be honest with you, who will tell you the truth as it is. Now, we often find that people, I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people tend to not want to rock the boat or give negative feedback. We should be valuing, especially when we're in leadership positions, we should be valuing those people who are willing to say to us, wrong, that is not a good decision. You're going in the wrong direction. Right, next question I want to ask you is, who mentors you? And this may seem like a very simple one, but especially when we go higher up the ladder, we tend to get to a point where we think we should be mentors. We don't need a mentor. And the minute we get into that, we start to fall into the trap of thinking that we are fully developed. But if we're constantly aware of the fact that even in our strengths, even in those areas where we are strong, there may be room for improvement. Your strengths can grow. So we sometimes tend to think of strengths and weaknesses in absolutes. This is a strength and that is a weakness. I've got to work on my weaknesses. My strength is my strength. But we don't see our strengths as perhaps skills or talents or whatever it may be that can, or characteristics that we have that can improve. So it's important that we constantly ensure that there are mentors in our lives, people who will guide us, especially in those areas where improvement is needed. So my next question to you is, who challenges you to be the best version of yourself? So when you are becoming complacent, or you're not investing enough in yourself so that you can continually evolve and become a better version of yourself. Who are those people who would say to you, Claudel, I have noticed that you have now gotten to a point where you think you have arrived. Um, but I can see you are not yet at your full potential. You can do better. Or I have noticed that you are great at what you do, but there are areas in your life where you are stagnant, where you are not developing further. Right? So, or you've become very one-dimensional. This is the only thing that you continually focus on, and that's great that you focus on that, but it is at the expense of other areas of who you are. So, who challenges you to be the best version of yourself and to continually evolve? And then, who are the people, or who is the person who creates a safe space for you to reflect? Now, so this is typically what we do as coaches. I'm an executive coach, is that we create a safe space for people to reflect. And what we do in the process is to ask them questions, and deep questions, so that they can reflect it at a deeper level and start to see the solutions that may have been escaping them, or start to think about things that they haven't really been giving attention in their lives. So who creates a safe space for you to reflect, to stop in your tracks, and not just run the rat race, but to stop and think about the direction in which you're running, to stop and think about how you can make things better, to stop and think about where you need development, and so forth. It's an important question that we need to ask ourselves. So I hope that as I've been asking the questions, that you have been writing down the names, or if no name had come to mind, that you flag that as a gap. Who actively supports you in all the different spheres? Who are the people who support you where you need support? Who holds you accountable? Who calls you out and provides you with genuine feedback? Who mentors you? Yeah, very important one. Were the people who challenge you to be the best version of yourself, to continually evolve, and who creates those safe spaces for you? Very, very important questions that we should be asking. And have you got names on your list? Yeah, keep on reflecting on that. But I want to just switch it a little bit on you, because I want you to think about, whose strategic circle are you in? Because we're part of a collective. We're in a system, and we're in an ecosystem. And because we don't live on an island, and we can't just be me all the time, and we can't just be focusing on our needs only. We can't be saying, well, I want to surround myself with people who feed my needs, without asking this question, what am I doing to feed the needs of others? Right? So take your pen and paper again, and let's ask this question. Let's go through those questions again. Around whose strategic circle are you in? Who are you actively supporting? Who do you support? So if you were to write down the names and ask yourself this very important question, are there people out there who are aware of the fact that I am their support? Are they, if they're watching this same video, how many people are putting my name down? Right? And here we've got to, of course, need to find the balance. It's that balance between the support that you need and you supporting others, but in your supporting others, making sure that you are not overcommitting yourself at the expense of yourself, because then you're being irresponsible towards yourself. But you also don't want to be in the boat where you're so focused on yourself that you are not giving, right? So you want to have that balance between giving and taking, receiving support, but also at the same time making sure that you are one of those who are giving support to those who may be needing the support. Right, so the next question, of course, you know it. Who do you hold accountable? Just as much as you need to be held accountable. And here, this is one of those areas where you got to ask yourself that very brave question. How brave am I? Do I have the courage to hold other people accountable? Or am I one of those people who shy away and do not want to stand up and tell the emperor that the emperor is naked? Yeah, important question. So who do you call out and provide genuine feedback back to? Are you one of the people that some people can say, this person will always tell me the truth? This person will tell me when I'm going in the wrong direction. This person will tell me when I am doing something wrong. They will call me out, and they will do it because they want me to be the best version of who I am. And I'm not talking about people who being malicious, right? So I'm talking about people and you in return, I'm wanting to working in the best interest of the other individual, right? So who do you call out, and who do you give genuine feedback to, right? And who do you mentor? Do you if you look at the list of people um, on your cell phone, on your mobile phone, on your those in your the email addresses that you have, out of all of those people, who are you mentoring? Who are you giving back to? Very important question that we need to ask ourselves. Give and take, give and take. And who do you challenge to be the best version of themselves? And here, of course, it means that you have the ability to look at other people and see them, to actually see them. They don't just exist in your world, but you see them, you see their potential, you see how they fit into the collective. Their purpose is important. You understand that their purpose is important. And therefore, out of empathy and compassion and love for your neighbor, you challenge them to become a better version of themselves, continually so, and to continually evolve. And then, of course, the last question is, who do you create a safe space for? Reflection. For whom do you create a safe space? Do you ever think about you being people being in your presence and feeling that it is a safe space for them to reflect? And what do we mean by a safe space is they know that whatever they're going to tell you, making themselves vulnerable and reflecting at a deep level, that A, you're not going to judge them, and B, you're not going to use what they reveal to you against them. And that in itself takes a lot of courage, yeah, and self-reflection in terms of to what degree do I support others in that, right? So it's give and take, and one needs to look at it from both sides. Who is supporting me? Who are the people in the strategic circle around me? And who can count me in their strategic circle? And in all of those dimensions, who whose name can I put down? And how do people see me? Now, it's important for us to reflect on this and to be honest with ourselves and be brave enough to admit to ourselves that we've got gaps, but also be brave enough to ourselves when we are being selfish and we're just taking and we're not giving, and finding that balance. All right, so with that, I thank you. I hope that you found a few nuggets in there. I do hope that you expand the list of questions. So you look at your strategic circle and you look at what is it that you should have in your strategic circle, and then continually to reflect. So every 6 months, every quarter, even if you do it once a year, just stop in your tracks and ask yourself the question, where am I in the strategic circle? How far am I? What relationships am I cultivating? What relationships should I be retaining? And sometimes we also need to say there are relationships that are no longer working and shouldn't be in there, and we need to replace those relationships. That's all good and fine, but you need to be strategic about it, and you need to be honest with yourself in the process. Well, thank you very much for watching, and thank you once again for visiting the website. Please go and have a look at the rest of the website. There are lots of topics that I discuss, and if there's anything that you would like me to cover that is not already covered on the website, please drop me a note on the website. Let me know. If I can, I'll address it for sure. Thank you very much.